In case you didn't know, this is Lyndon LaRouche.
We here in Toronto were influenced a lot by Marshall McLuhan, who taught in Toronto, and he talked about how political issues could not be communicated effectively under TV conditions. Once TV is a general environment, which has happened since the 50s, issues have been hard to get across to the people. And now, your group is very issue-oriented. I was wondering how you could deal with that problem of the television environment. How do you develop support, considering...
Well, I put on 15 in 1984, 15 nationwide half-hour television broadcasts, which did have quite a cumulative impact, reverberating around the United States today. But nonetheless, the more fundamental thing. McLuhan's thesis is partly true and partly not true. What is true is that as the society has been becoming worse and worse, from the standpoint of the desperate private citizens and the household have retreated more and more from reality in the larger scale, limiting themselves to immediate concerns of family and community or personal career. Apart from those limited, narrow issues, the citizen has been retreating into entertainment, various types, the hedonistic, exotic things floating around that, but more particularly television. So the worse things get, the more the family, in effect, digs a deeper foxhole and hides from that foxhole from reality, watching the television set. Now what happens then, somebody at some point begins dropping hand grenades or mortar shells into the foxhole. Then the citizen gets out. That is, once the entertainment withdrawal from reality, escapism, once that escapism no longer provides the illusion of security to the private citizen, the citizen comes out and becomes, as has happened in the past, radicalized. Now, the citizens become radicalized for better or for worse. And if people don't come along with better, then the citizen will, on the basis of the record of history, usually go for worse. And that's the process we're in now. The AIDS pandemic, which has hit right into the family, is having an effect on a significant part of the population of the States now. The economic collapse has reached the point that the illusion which existed in the past couple of decades, the period of great withdrawal into the mean, that's coming to an end too. The Graham-Rudman bill in the United States is the first development of this type which has begun to impact the citizens, the local citizens, in terms of the larger political process. We cannot predict at present what the Graham-Rudman impact will be on the congressional elections this year. It will probably be significant. The degree of impact is presently unpredictable. There are a number of unknowns. But we are now in a process in which the hand grenades and mortar shells are dropping into the private foxhole. The citizens are coming out of the foxhole, forgetting the television tube a bit, coming back into reality, and slightly angry about it at the same time.
Yes.
They know they want foxhole. So that's the way the process is going.
Okay, the McLuhan recommended back in the 60s that television would be such a devastating environment, the disservice of it, that he recommended shutting it off. You're highlighting the service of the situation and the disservice. Would you recommend turning the electric environment, the television environment off? Would you?
Well, what we're doing in the United States, I would say turn a good deal of it off. People are sitting there watching television in families and have to set on 10, 12 hours a day. And when they're saturating themselves, in addition to the regular broadcast, with this cable broadcast, they are really going into paranoia and watching any entertainment medium too many hours a day, even if we're good, introduces paranoia because too much time is being spent on fantasy life and too little on reality. And when people are more involved with the TV characters than they are with the neighbors, then they're becoming paranoid. And therefore I would say shut it off a good deal of the time and restrict TV usage to things that are more important and more essential. Particularly, turn off the soap opera. Don't watch it. Keep away from the game shows. Restrict overdoses of sports watching. And use TV selectively. It's a useful medium if used properly if we had good programs. So don't shut it off altogether, but restrict. Take a sane approach toward television watching.
as a Republican policy. That would be a principal administration.
Well, I would recommend that strongly whether I have anything to do with what I'm doing as a party spokesman or not.